Have you tried to grow your business before by hiring people just to have it all flop and make more work for yourself in the end? Been there and done that, meaning that I've wasted thousands of dollars on consultants and team members that just didn't work out. In this video, I'm going to share my experience of growing and scaling, specifically the top 5 people that you need to hire if you want to do the same. Of course, I'm not an expert on this, but I do have a few mistakes that I've made and lessons that I've learned along the way that I think sharing with you will make everything just so much easier for you. Hey, I'm Jill Wise. If you don't know me, I'm a brand and marketing strategist and conversion copywriter. And through both my Done For You studio and education platform, I've worked with, coached, and taught literally hundreds of entrepreneurs just like you and helped them make more good money online. This video is a behind the scenes look at my business strategy and how I grew to this sweet spot where everything is just working so well. Right now, personally, I'm working about 12 hours a week. Some week that might be as little as 8, others it might be as much as 15. So very part-time hours while I'm navigating life as a new mom, being full-time mom to a little one, and my business is still growing and my team is growing. So through all of this, I've learned quite a lot, and I guess this video is just a behind the scenes look at all of that. I haven't really talked about a lot of this stuff publicly before, but people always ask me in my DMs over on Instagram or in my coaching calls with clients. So I thought, why not? I'm going to share with you the 5 roles that I hired successfully within my copywriting and marketing studio. But make sure you watch to the end because I'm going to tell you the 3 red flags that I personally experienced and that I definitely want you to avoid when you are growing your team and your business as well. So these are lessons that I learned the hard way, and I might be spilling a little bit of tea here, so you definitely want to make sure that you're watching to the end. Grab your coffee, your green juice, mine's a green smoothie, and get ready to learn. Okay, so the first one, I feel like my fellow creative types can really relate to this. That is someone to help you with your books. So my bookkeeper and my accountant are like hands down 100% entirely worth the money invested in that, and they are some of the first hires that I made in my business, and they just are total lifesavers. Now, if you're new to business and your books are a total mess, that is okay. From my understanding, that's pretty common when we get started. Everything is an absolute mess. But if you deal with it soon before things get out of hand, I feel like that makes it a little bit easier. I know that when I was getting started with my bookkeeper at first, a lot of it was like tidying up all the messes that I had made for years prior because I was stubborn and tried to do everything for myself for a lot of years, and I think that stunted my growth for a really long time. So anyways, a lot of our beginning work was just like tidying up everything that I did wrong and getting everything fresh and started on a good note. It was really bad. Like honestly, personally, I would cry at tax time every single year because I was so determined to do my own taxes, and I would do my husband's taxes. I did them successfully, like at least I got through it and there weren't any errors at that time, but nobody needs to cry when they're doing their taxes. Like you don't need to go through that. So if that is you, if you are a creative type 2 and you just cannot bear to think about sitting down and looking at the numbers and like plugging in all the details and all that stuff once more anymore, just go ahead and hire someone to help you, whether that's a bookkeeper, an accountant, or both. Okay, the second successful hire that I made was my assistant. She is absolutely lovely. She's probably going to be helping me upload this video. You might hear about her, learn about her, see her if you like chat with me on anywhere, join any of our workshops, whatever. So that would be the second person that I would recommend. A lot of people suggest hiring an assistant first, but I actually didn't do it that way, and I always encourage people to question this advice that is often blanketed. If you are in any kind of like freelance or a solopreneur space, a lot of the times people will say like, once you get to like XK per month, you need to go and hire an assistant immediately. I disagree with that, and I didn't do that, and personally it worked out like really well. I had a specific reason though. I didn't want to hire an assistant if my systems and workflows and like processes and all of that stuff was a mess, because I knew that I wouldn't actually know what to give her, right? Like I wouldn't have anything for her to work with. So it would just be a waste of time for everybody, and it would be more frustrating. So instead of going to hire an assistant right away, I got really good at optimizing my business's systems internally. I made everything so efficient. I just started creating SOPs for everything, even though it was just me. I was planning ahead so that it would make sense to bring somebody else into the mess that is my brain, right? So I got clear on like my workflows. I automated parts that I could. I did hire help setting up an automated client management software, which I talk about a lot in a lot of my videos, Dubsado. But basically I got everything super ready for maximum productivity before hiring an assistant to come in. And then that way, once she joined, she honestly would tell me all the time that it was like amazing because everything had a way we do things. There was a process for everything to follow. Like she knew exactly what she needed to do and it was just very organized. Some examples of those systems would be like setting up Dubsado, like I mentioned, mapping out all of my client workflows, mapping out the details of all of those. Like how do I get clients to book strategy calls? Like what is the process? Invoicing, making sure all of that process is mapped out. When I'm sending my marketing emails, I send weekly emails to my list. Like what does that process look like? And then that way, because all of the processes were mapped out across the board, whether it had to do with my marketing or internal business projects or client projects or anything else, it was all mapped out. That way I could start picking and choosing tasks to give to her, and she knew exactly what to do, and then the results that we got together were just so much better than if we just like were winging it from the beginning. So this one, like if you hired an assistant early, that's okay. I just encourage you to always like question the blanketed advice that people give. If you are a copywriter like me, then you will probably get to a point where you need to hire your replacement. And what I mean by replacement, I don't actually mean a full you, because if you are growing your business and have goals to scale it up, you don't want to hire a clone of yourself. That's not what I'm talking about, but you do need to hire someone who's going to be doing the billable work so that you can free up your time to do other things. So in my case, I started hiring replacement writers. I started with just one, and then I now have 3 writers that work with my team. If you offer a different service, like maybe you're a graphic designer or a photographer or something like that, then it's gonna be somebody else. Just you need to replace the billable hours in your schedule. If you want to scale up and like detach yourself from every single output, every single deliverable, every single hour in the business so you can keep growing, then you have to replace somebody in that role. Also, if you're a copywriter like me, then you might want to look at hiring an editor too, so that you can even free up that detail-oriented like final pass of all of the copy that you're putting out as well. Because the further that you can detach yourself from all of the nitty-gritty of everything, then the quicker you'll be able to grow. But of course, if you have processes and methods and everything like that, then it makes it super easy for you to oversee all of the pieces. So for me personally, like I actually do touch every single piece of client work that goes out the door. I approve all of it, but that doesn't mean that I make sure that every single comment is in the exact right place, because that stuff takes time. So we have an editor that we bring in sometimes to help out with that kind of work too. And your job will shift as your business grows, because you're going to start small, of course, and start scaling up. So for me, I brought in a writer at first to help zhuzh up my draft work so that she could learn my methods and my way of doing things by basically shadowing and like editing my own work, but like heavier than an edit kind of idea. And then from there we switched, so then she started doing the draft, and then I'm bringing in more writers, and then bringing in an editor helps even more, because then I can oversee everything, and copy chief is what it's called, making sure that everything is like quality controlled, but I don't have to check everything down to like commas in the right place, did we use the on-brand emoji, that kind of stuff. Like the editor can check that for each piece with our client's brand guide. Now my role is really focused on creating the strategy with clients, working with them directly, doing the meetings, coming up with the bigger picture planning, and then chiefing all of my junior writers so that I can ensure that everything we are creating is aligned with what the clients have come to us expecting, right? Like they come to me, my brand is a personal brand, expecting things to be a certain way. So this way we can make sure that we're delivering on those promises, because ultimately like integrity and delivering on your promises is so important. Another hire I 10 out of 10 suggest that you make as soon as you can afford the investment is a brand and web designer. Even as a copywriter, even as a like words-based business, visuals matter. And when you intentionally build a brand that looks as good as your words sound, then it will really help build your authority in the space. Like honestly, it just looks super professional. And if you can't afford to hire someone right away, I totally get it. In the beginning, I always suggest just keeping things super simple. Like So simple. Don't try to become a designer yourself. Use templates where you can. Just keep it very basic until you can afford to invest in someone who actually knows what they're doing and has that expertise, because it makes a huge difference. I invested in my first designer back in 2019, and the process was so much fun, just like figuring out what I wanted my business to be. I had just been full-time for a little bit at that point, so I was ready to like really make this thing work, and having visuals that matched made so much sense to me, and I was super excited, and we came up with something that felt like it fit at the time, but honestly it was kind of like baby business Jill that was too scared to rock the boat, and I wanted to keep things like so that everybody would like it, and I wasn't too sure about who I was or what I wanted from the brand and all of that. So ultimately, I did end up changing the brand in 2021, just a couple of years later, to what you see now, and now it feels just so much more aligned with me. That has nothing to do with the designer that I worked with originally. She is very talented. It was just my planning, I guess, my intentions with the brand. I wasn't super clear on what I wanted from the brand, and then over the course of like 2020, 2021, I really grew into the business. The business took off, and I also grew into myself, and I knew what I wanted. And then now we have this visual representation that makes so much more sense, and I just am obsessed with it. And the cool thing about the current brand is that not only does it attract the right people, it also repels people that aren't a good fit. So that, along with building authority, like these are all great reasons to actually invest in having a great brand. Plus now it's so helpful to have the design team on hand every single time that I need new graphics or templates and stuff like that, or new pages on the website. They're always ready to help me. And finally, one of the most important hires that you can make for your copywriting business is investing in a coach who has done the thing that you want to do. Group or one-on-one, I really don't think that it matters, because we're all different types of learners. We all get different things from different styles. Personally, I've learned a lot from group programs and mastermind programs that have like a one-on-one aspect to it. Honestly though, the best money that I've ever spent in my business is on coaches who actually give a shit about what I'm doing and they want to see me grow. That's the attitude that I try to give my clients too. Like, you need to choose somebody who actually cares about you. Kind of along these lines, I know that some people push back on hiring a coach, but the thing is that you don't know what you don't know when you're in it, and there's always going to be different challenges at each step in your journey, in your business growth. But if you have a coach who's done what you want to do, they're at that spot that you want to be at, then you know that they'll be able to tell you like what comes next, or at least they can tell you what not to do, and they can help you find a path that makes sense for you. Okay, so those are my top hires, my suggestions for you if you want to grow and scale your copywriting business. Now let's get into the good stuff that you've been waiting for, the red flags and the maybe a little bit of dirt, the lessons that I've learned and the red flags that I want you to avoid when you're hiring people for your business. Red flag number one, this actually happened to me, is that you don't get to meet this person that you're going to be working closely with, not even on Zoom, like face-to-face, one-on-one. I really value personal connection and relationships in my business. I think that business is still human, and relationships are a huge part of like what drives it. So for me, it's so important to actually get to meet who I'm going to be working with and like see them and get that connection with them. There have been times where I tried to just trust and be okay with just a phone call, but honestly, those times didn't work out. So now one of like my mandatory things is I have to see them face to face. It doesn't have to be in person. Like, I work with people all around the world, but I need to see you face to face. We got to get on Zoom. We got to see if we connect. And this goes both ways, like not just for me hiring people for my business, but like for meeting clients too. Like, I only want to work with people that I know is a good fit. Red flag number two, if you're hiring a consultant or an outsourced group to create some kind of deliverable for you, the red flag would be that they don't allow revisions on your deliverables. Now, I'm not saying that I want to change everything all the time or make this like a lengthy process, but I really do think that collaboration is important. And if you're paying for a deliverable at the end, you should be able to at least give some feedback on it. We have these terms in our business, so every single month we're putting out email marketing and SEO blog content and helping with socials, and maybe like putting together different marketing campaigns and websites and funnels and all of this kind of stuff. And often our clients don't actually need that many revisions. A lot of my clients call me first draft drill for a reason. Those are actually their words, not mine, but we still have it in our terms that they get revisions because I want them to feel like they can collaborate with us and that they get a say in everything that's going out for their business, because business, like I said, it's like a big part of us, right? So I want them to be happy with what we're putting out. And of course, our goal is always to get results, and we are the experts providing the service that is going to get those results. So I do make very strong recommendations if they want to make changes that I wouldn't want to actually go ahead with, but like I still want to collaborate with them, right? So for me, in the past, I've hired some outsourced help, and they like did not let us see anything that was going out before it was going out. So like I just saw it once it was out, and that did not sit well with me, especially because sometimes when it was already out, I was like, I would not have approved of this. Red flag number 3 is that this person or team or whatever it is that you're hiring needs to be chased and maybe doesn't answer emails very promptly. I don't think that emails need to be answered like immediately. I know that some people are so about that, they'll reply within minutes, within a couple of hours, they're in their inbox all day. That is not me, that is not us. But like 2 business days, like 48 business hours, I feel like is a reasonable time frame to get back to somebody in, because even if you have like a full day of meetings, you know that you're gonna schedule some time for emails the next day, right? If you're gonna be organized. A few years ago, I really wanted to work with somebody. I'd wanted to work with this person for years. I was so excited when I finally grew my business to the spot where it made sense to reach out to them, but then they took forever to get back to my inquiry emails, and I had to send follow-ups on my inquiry emails. It was like they didn't even care that there was an inquiry in their inbox, like somebody willing to pay them thousands of dollars in their inbox, and I was sending chasers for that. So that should have been a red flag to me at the time, that it wasn't going to work out, and it didn't work out. And I hope that you don't have to go through the same kind of situation that I did with that. And then on the flip side, with my clients, any inquiries that come in, we've actually automated the process. So like if we have somebody come in, they get an automatic reply saying, hey, we've received this, here's next steps. And we follow up with them within those 2 business days if we don't hear from them. And my inbox, I get some help in my inbox with managing all the things in there. Of course, because there's just a lot going on, but I do try to check into my emails at least every day for a couple minutes for the urgent stuff. And then I'll do like a big like batch of emailing every couple days at the very least to go through everything that's piling up in there. Because I think that you need to reply to people, right? Like basic communication is so important if you want to grow your business. All right, that was a lot of me talking, so I'm going to leave you with that. If you liked this, I have a ton of other videos all about like scheduling, finding clients, automating stuff, setting boundaries in your business, all of these things that go into growing and scaling a business like mine, whether that's freelancing or copywriting specifically. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. And thank you so much for tuning in.